Hi, my name is George Lee Cunningham. I'm here today with author LaRue, whose new book, Major League Encounters, has just come out. And I have to say that I've read this book, and I'm not a big sports fan, but I really thought it was very interesting and a delightful book. I really enjoyed it. And I was wondering, you were talking about baseball. It's kind of an exclusive club, the major leagues. And it's a club that's really hard to get into and easy to get evicted from. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Can you tell our listeners?
Sure. There's 750 major league players on any given day. That's 30 teams with a 25-man roster each. And each day that somebody comes up from the minor leagues or is traded, they take a spot on the roster, somebody else comes off the roster. So it's very easy to lose your job. You're one of an exclusive club because there are only 750 players in the world who play Major League Baseball. They come from all over the world. They've played from childhood on. They've been the best players on their team their whole lives. And to get to the major leagues, you need more than that. You need a certain drive. And then that doesn't mean you can stay there. Somebody else can take their job because they're a little younger, a little less expensive. There's a lot of stress in the major leagues.
So it sounds like a career can be kind of fairly short.
We all look at the guys like Jamie Moyer, who played until he was 49 years old, and think, my God, you can play this game forever. Most careers are about 3 years in length.
Well, I noticed in your book that not everybody in the book is a household name. You have folks there, players, who worked there, who were journeyman players, but not necessarily the stars of the team. And they're an important part of baseball.
Right, everybody in baseball has a personality and a role, and sometimes it's just fascinating to watch a bench player, for instance, a player who doesn't get in the game every day, and how it affects him, how they adjust to that role, how they embrace it or don't embrace it, and the tension that comes with not playing every day and trying to stay ready to play. They can be just as fascinating as the guys who play every day and are superstars. The game is made up of a 25-man roster. Only 9 of them play at a time. So that's a lot of people who don't play on a given day. And they're still major league players.
But this is a tough life. I mean, during the season at least, they're playing almost 7 days a week, are they not?
162 games between April and October. And it winds up being almost every day. And the teams on the coast, whether you're the New York Yankees or the Seattle Mariners, their off days, their scheduled days off, are usually taken up by travel. The Seattle Mariners, for instance, travel on an average of 50,000 miles a year. That's a lot of miles, and it's usually taken on their off day or after a game. The travel is a major thing, and so is the playing. The fact that your body can wear down if you're playing 7 days a week.
They get paid well, obviously, but it must be tough on the family life.
They get paid very well. The minimum salary in Major League Baseball is about $450,000 this year, which means if you're called up from the minor leagues, the day you arrive, that's what you start making, $450,000 a year. But there are lots of guys who during the season might start in the Midwest League and get called up to the big leagues. Well, they've been living in Indiana, and now all of a sudden they have to find residence for their family in Seattle. And we have lots of players who will live in 2 or 3 cities during the course of a year. And that's hard on family life, where you try to establish a home, then you try to establish another home, and your wife, in most cases, is the one who has to do all this.
I noticed because I noticed that you have a lot of, you have some people that seem to have natural talent, and some people just have to work hard to develop it. And, those are pretty easy to spot, and how do they differ, those guys?
There are players who are so gifted that they almost cannot fail. They're just so good athletically that they were born to play a sport and they chose baseball. Then you have players who make it because they're driven. They probably don't have the talent that one would assume is worthy of the big leagues, but they work so hard, they're so driven, they refuse to take failure seriously, and they're successful. We have a player in the book, Ryan Downey, who didn't make his high school team and wasn't playing for his college team. He got drafted as a favor, and he wound up in the big leagues and stayed for 2,000 hits.
That's amazing, and I see that I see that in the book, and I really enjoyed reading that, as I said, and it really gives an inside view that I don't think you get just from watching the game on TV. It gives you the inside view of how these people live and what they're like, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I would recommend it. Anybody out there who likes baseball, or even if you don't like baseball, Major League Encounters is a good read. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Good.